WBNE.
Okay, this is my third time recording this. Because the first time I wasn't even recording. The second time I hadn't selected the right microphone. And this is the third time where I'm going to say hello and welcome to episode 46, all about the Siege of Gondor Part 2. Chapter 4, Book 5 of The Return of the King, being the 46th part of That's What I'm Talking About.
So Faramir rides out.
Yeah. The council also talks about, like, so where the is Rohan? We're kind of
where the is Rohan?
Desperate here. Gandalf kind of guesses, like, well, I mean, he, like, backtracks based on what Faramir has told them about, like, what he was doing, and the last time he saw... Wait, no, I'm getting confused. Because the red... Wait, no. Because he uses that to never... You know what? I'm gonna...
Wait. I've got a line here.
Delete all that.
So, no, here's the line. Will he come? Will he remember our old alliance? They said. Yes, he will come, said Gandalf, even if he comes too late. But think, at best, the red arrow cannot have reached him more than 2 days ago, and the miles are long from Edoras.
Great. Perfect. That. Yup.
There you go.
So they're just kind of sitting there waiting for Rohan to show up before they all die.
Yeah, again, like, Gondor's whole, like, situation for the past couple generations has just been like, anyone, please, come help, please.
Anyone?
It's not good and it's getting worse. Literally anybody, anywhere.
It's that Simpsons thing that...
I'm in danger!
Like, literally. Oh, that's Pippin this whole chapter. There's your meme, Mary Clay.
Oh, perfect! Perfect.
You're welcome.
I was looking for, like, some good reactions... And I found one. It's a Brooklyn Nine-Nine quote. Where is it? It's a Brooklyn Nine-Nine quote. This is Jake, and he says, "I'm not totally useless. I can be used as a bad example." And I'm like, that's Pippin.
That's Pippin in his day-to-day life.
Oh, man. Anyway, yeah, just in general, that's Pippin.
Yeah.
So, everything is awful. They're all dying.
Yeah, because, like, immediately after that line, it's like, it was night again ere news came. A man rode in haste from the ford, saying that a host had issued from Minas Morgul and was already drawing nigh to Osgiliath.
Yep. And then it also says, the passage of Anduin was won by the enemy. Faramir is still alive. He and his men are still alive. But he was 10 times outnumbered. And it's like, oh... That's just not
making
good.
a break for it, and he's making a break for it, and he is badly outnumbered, and the situation is not looking great. And, like, I love that these are, like, crucial moments of the war, and you're just, like, overhearing them in the council through Pippin.
Yeah. Because I should explain, because Faramir was like, okay, Pippin, since you clearly have no skills in battle, you're gonna be my little servant, okay? And you're gonna go and share messages and get people and do stuff for me, okay?
Yeah. You're gonna be like my squire, my page.
Yeah, so that's how Pippin is there for all of this.
I think that's about on a level with Pippin's skill set, too.
Yeah.
And he's the right size, so
Perfect.
It works out.
Yeah. They come back, and Beargarn comes back to report some stuff, and they ask if Faramir is back yet, and they say no. Oh, that's right. Because Gandalf, throughout all of this, can you tell I'm, like, so scatterbrained? Because so much
so much happens in this chapter, dude.
It's hard to keep in my brain of, like, the chronology of what happens first, because the second half of it is just, like... And then this battle happened, and then this battle happened, and then this battle happened, and it continued to get worse.
Like, this whole section until, like, the actual battle starts, it really is just, like, them receiving reports.
Yeah.
Of, like, how goes the war effort? The answer is not great, and getting not greater.
Yeah.
And, like, it is kind of hard to follow.
Yeah, so Gandalf goes off at some point to help them, and he comes back with this report of, like... Okay, here's what's going on. Things are not good, as per usual. They ask if Faramir's coming, and he's like, no, but he's still alive. The last I saw of him, and I was like, Okay, good.
Oh, my boy.
Okay,
My boy.
good.
My boy's
I was
fine.
really worried they were going to say there that he had died, and I was like, oh, crap. So then they say that, like, so more bad news. It appears that the Morgul King is kind of here. He's coming. He's here. He's coming for us, and we're all going to die. And then Denethor does this, like, dramatic, which I love me a good dramatic wardrobe change. He stood up and cast open his long black cloak, and behold! He was clad in mail beneath and girt with a long sword, great hilted in a sheath of black and silver, because he's got to keep that aesthetic.
Sexy. Yeah.
Because they're talking about, they're like, oh, this, like, Morgul King, is that Sauron? They're like, no, Sauron's too, a good leader doesn't go out to do this kind of stuff. He sends people out. And then Denethor is like, except I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna be a hypocrite.
I am ready to fight.
Yeah, he's like, I'll fight.
Yeah.
So he has this nice, dramatic wardrobe change. And then something happens that I screamed about. They're talking about this Morgul King. And they're like, how are we ever going to defeat him? Oh my God, Gandalf, can you defeat him? And he says, and if words spoken of old be true, not by the hand of man shall he fall, and hidden from the wise is the doom that awaits him. I wonder what that all means. So here's the thing, is Macbeth is one of my favorite Shakespeare plays. I have read it many times. I have seen it many times. And the loophole in Macbeth is that he is not taken down by someone born...
A man of woman born.
Yeah, a man of woman born. And then Macduff is like, ha, I was a C-section, motherfucker. And then stabs. And I was like, I know. My homeboy, Willie Shakes, taught me to look for a loophole. And that loophole, hand of man, I'm like, f***ing Eowyn's gonna cut my notes at this point, go off the rails. From here to the end of the chapter, my notes are insane.
I can neither confirm nor deny that the entire reason for the thing that I will also neither confirm nor deny was not J.R.R. Tolkien directly reacting to the whole Macbeth loophole, because he thought that another one would have been better.
Oh! Listeners, you can't see. Haley's not making eye contact with me. Haley, this is what my
book is in front of my face.
This is what my notes look like. I don't know if you can tell, like, how...
I can see the handwriting going crazy.
Just insane it is. I've read, in all caps, I've read Macbeth enough times to immediately notice that. I immediately noticed that. And I will, of course, insert the don't be suspicious sound right here.
Don't be suspicious.
Which I forgot to insert in the last chapter where Durnhelm, or whatever his face is, shows up and is like, I'm a very small man.
Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
Right after you abandon Eowyn.
Don't be suspicious.
Oh, Mary, you want to come with me?
Yep, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
So,
you'll get there.
We shall see what happens, shan't we? And then, I read, should I start practicing my best shocked expression when Eowyn shows up and kills him? I'll just start practicing that right now.
Yeah, you're gonna need to.
I wrote so many notes about this one line. You think you're being tricky, Tolkien. It just makes me laugh, because Tolkien, I think, really thought, he's like, oh my God, I'm setting up for the greatest plot twist in all of humanity, and I saw through it immediately.
Keep in mind that he's writing this in, like, the 40s.
When,
like, that would have actually kind of been a surprise.
When people were dumb, and they're like, books? What?
Women with swords.
At some point in my life, I want to have framed in my house those propaganda ads during the 1920s about, like, women's suffrage Do you know what I'm talking about, Haley?
Oh, you mean the ones
that
that
are just
like
so ridiculous,
are absolutely paralleled by like anti-feminist memes now?
But like they're just so ridiculous and insane that I'm like, I have to have this framed at some point. I don't know. Anyway,
yep.
Nothing like
They're fun.
nothing like a little misogyny to make some art out of, you know?
Yeah, right.
So
shit's not going well,
to say the least. So there's another huge battle. The ring wraiths are now the like orcs and ring wraiths and everything awful has come through. I just burped. It's fine. Has come through and broken through.
I burped at the same time.
And so they come back, Faramir and his crew, and this is when I was in a glass case of emotions.
What?
Because so they bring in Faramir.
Baby.
Last of all he came, his men passed in, the mounted knights returned, and at their rear the banner of Dol Amroth and the prince. And in his arms, before him on his horse, he bore the body of his kinsman, Faramir, son of Denethor, found upon the stricken field. And everyone's heartbroken.
Everyone
understandably. Everyone's upset. Everyone's sad and depressed immediately. And I was like, he's dead. Faramir is dead. I somehow missed at some point in this part where he's brought in, where they mentioned that, no, he's just mortally wounded. So I just wrote, all caps, Faramir, no! And then, he deserved better. Oh my god, I just saw the better. I just saw the audio for my screech. Oh, that's gonna be great to edit.
It's appropriate.
So it was at this point that I posted on the Tolkien About Instagram story, and I did like a close-up of me, and I put in the music, In the Arms of an Angel, with me just like sitting there shaking my head like in shock. I was like, oh my god, Faramir's, he's dead. I was like, I can't believe he fucking did it. I can't believe he killed him. Oh my god. And then I was like, oh crap.
This is worse than every episode of Game of Thrones.
I was like, oh crap. Have I at one point said, because I say this a lot, I'm like, oh, if he kills off this character, I'm quitting the podcast. I want to say the only character I've said that about is Legolas, but I was like, oh crap, did I say that about Faramir? Because like, I'm a woman of my word. I might have to quit the podcast.
Well, don't quit.
There's just like a change of cast midway, almost all the way through this. All of a sudden, there's a brand new host.
We get Mary Payton from the restricted section.
Yes.
No one will know the difference.
Yes, exactly. Listeners, we call Mary Payton Maypay, which I think can also be confusing because my name is Mary Clay, and it all just sounds like a mush of words and names.
There's too many Marys in the world.
Oh, believe me.
You guys should fight for supremacy.
Oh, believe me. I live with my cousin whose name is Mary Kate. I'm named after my grandmother, Mary Clay.
Hey, Mary Clay, I have a question for you. Are you Irish by chance?
How'd you know? I am Irish.
Just a
guess. Like great something grandmother's name was Mary Agnes Ottila McDonald McDevitt.
That's fake.
No, it's real.
You made that up.
No, it's real.
That's not real.
It's real.
No.
It's real.
No, that's a joke. That's a joke. Please tell me that's a joke.
Nope, it's real. Mary Agnes Ottila McDonald McDevitt.
Dude.
The original Irish Catholic.
She's all of them. She's every original Irish
and then
Catholic.
Another fun story about like my Irish ancestors. When on my grandmother's side, when her family, she wasn't like part of this family when they came over. It was like, I want to say it was her great-grandfather, like his family came over from Ireland, and like that's how our family came to be in America. And he had never had a tomato in his life. And when he ate his first tomato, he said, "My God, I've been poisoned."
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
Yeah, and I'm like, wow.
Buddy.
Only had potatoes.
And only a potatoes only diet will do that to you.
Yep.
Yeah, my family are the Tolls came over, and my mom's name is Bridget, and when she was in school, kids used to throw pennies at her because they called her Tollbridge.
Oh.
Yeah, which, like, I mean,
however,
like, I get it, that's mean, that would hurt, but, like, also you get free money.
Okay, but also, like, that's one of the smartest ways that I think I've ever heard kids bullying other kids. Like, that's some smart bullying going on there.
No, this was, like, 60s bullying when kids put effort into it.
It's not just Draco Malfoy being like, Potter!
Imagine Draco Malfoy just throwing knuts at, like, the Weasley kids. Like, at a certain point, it's like, all right, well, I'll just take this.
There's this comic of Iron Man and Batman, and they're throwing money at each other. And then the second pane is Spider-Man, and he comes in, and he's on the floor picking it all up.
Oh my god. I'm Spider-Man in that situation.
He's like, yes, money, please, I'll take this, thank you.
But, like, that's before lunch cards. Like, those are kids giving up their milk money to just, like, bully my mom. Like, that's dedication.
Oh my god.
Yeah, right? Can you imagine?
Where were so
Faramir's dead.
Yeah, so at this point in my reading of this, Faramir is dead. I'm heartbroken. I literally felt my soul leave my body. And I was like, how am I supposed... I was like, I have to record an episode on this tomorrow. I have to finish this chapter now. I don't know if I have it in me. So Denethor is very quiet, kind of in a state of shock almost. And he orders for Faramir to be brought to a chamber and make a bed for him to rest in. I thought this was just like him being like, all right, go put him in a bed and I'll just pretend that he's asleep, but he's actually dead.
Just like being morbid.
And it says, and when Denethor descended again, he went to Faramir and sat beside him without speaking, but the face of the Lord was gray, more deathlike than his son's. And
yeah, also pay special attention to, like, right before this, but he himself went up alone into the secret room under the summit of the tower, and many who looked up thither at that time saw a pale light that gleamed and flickered from the narrow windows for a while, and then flashed and went out. Denethor is up to something.
He's doing some, mischief.
It's not covered in this chapter, but,
you know
keep an eye out for it.
Oh, I mean, definitely by the end of this chapter, I'm like, Denethor's lost it. Which is
oh no, he's nuts.
Insane.
He's been losing
given that I was just like kind of laughing because I'm like, Denethor, you literally told him 2 pages ago that you wished he was dead, and now that he's here dying, you're like, wait, no, but like I didn't mean it.
Yeah, don't say you don't mean in the middle of a war with an evil sorcerer.
Yeah,
moron.
Yeah, so Denethor's heartbroken that oh my god, I just realized a great reaction I could do for Denethor. It's a line that Gina Linetti says in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. At some point she goes like,
how was I supposed to know there'd be consequences for my actions?
Oh my god, use it. Please use it.
And that's like Denethor being like, Faramir, I wish you were dead. Faramir is dying. Denethor.
Pikachu face.
I literally have that exact tweet already drafted.
Wow, well done.
The shocked Pikachu one, because that's what when I read the chapters and something pops into my head of like, oh, that'd be a good tweet for when this episode comes out. I make the tweet and then I save it as a draft so that I don't forget it. Literally already have the shocked Pikachu meme in there. So
well done.
Yep. Either that or I'm predictable at this point. I don't know. Yeah. So Faramir's dead.
Or is he?
And they are now like officially, it's moved into the phase where the title of the chapter is making sense, the Siege of Gondor.
Yeah.
Where they are now like trapped there. Orcs are digging trenches and essentially cutting them off so they are not able to leave the city and nothing is able to get in anymore. So they're planning to starve them out.
Like, the sense of hopelessness in, like, the next paragraph that starts, like, so now the city was besieged, like, enclosed in a ring of foes. Like, the orcs aren't just digging trenches, they're digging trenches, like, right out of bow shot, so, like, they can't do anything about it. Like, they're just sitting there watching as, like, the ring around them closes tighter and tighter, and everything as far as the eye can see is just orcs and trolls and orcs.
I'm imagining this part of the chapter with the music that is playing in Deathly Hallows Part 2. It's at a specific point in the Battle of Hogwarts, and it's the trio, and they're running through, and like, oh, here's a troll, and oh, there's acromantulas, and oh, there's
I know the bit
Fenrir Greyback eating Lavender Brown.
Yeah, like, the music from, I know the exact piece that you mean, and, like, that, like, nothing is ever going to top the music in, like, the Lord of the Rings films. Like, once you see it, you will understand, because they spent so much more time, even on the music for these films, than most composers do. Like, everything has its own theme. But that's, like, the same level of, like, emotional music that you get during this battle, because holy shit.
Yeah, it's just, like, dark and hopeless is essentially, and like resigned.
Yes.
That's another feeling that I'm getting through the chapter.
There is nothing we can do.
Of like, well, we're just gonna have to die here. And
we're just sitting here waiting.
If you're wondering if it gets worse, oh, it does, because this
so much.
So this is the point where I was like, what the Tolkien? You need therapy. They'd start they're like, oh, and now there's like hail coming down on us, and they're like catapulting stuff at us. And then they realize, for the enemy was flinging into the city all the heads of those who had fallen fighting at Osgiliath or on the Remus or in the fields. They are catapulting heads of like their friends, their family, their neighbors into
like this
the city.
Like these this line is like so dark from the dude who like wrote the Shire. Like yet many had features that could be told, and it seemed that they had died in pain, and all were branded with the foul token of the lidless eye. But marred and dishonored as they were, it often chanced that thus a man would see again the face of someone that he had known, who had walked proudly once in arms, or tilled the fields, or ridden in upon a holiday from the green vales and the hills.
God.
Like, these are people that they know. Like, holy shit.
And so, this is when I was like, hey, Tolkien.
This is like psychological warfare.
Hey, Tolkien, are you sure that you're not absolutely traumatized from your experience in the war? Like, should we revisit those feelings?
No, this is him revisiting those feelings.
And
this
maybe
is the therapy.
Maybe work them out.
Nope, heads.
So
this is what you get.
God, just awful.
On every level.
So then the ring wraiths are all flying around, shrieking endlessly for yet another weapon, swifter than hunger. The Lord of the Dark Tower had dread and despair. More unbearable they became, not less, at each new cry. And that's just awful. So just
there's no getting used to it.
Endless shrieking. And then we have, for me, the ultimate plot twist, which is that Faramir is still alive. I wrote, oh my god. It took up like 5 lines. Faramir's alive. I thought he was V-dead. This is fantastic news.
Except that it's not, because immediately afterward, Denethor comes in to crush all your hopes and dreams.
No. I don't care. Hey, let me have my moment. I literally thought Faramir was dead. And I found out he was alive. It's like if I didn't know that Gandalf was gonna come back to life, and then he came back, and I would be like, what?
Oh, Gandalf the White now!
Faramir's alive. Let's just, like,
My honey.
take a moment, appreciate that.
Yeah.
So but he's not in good shape. Denethor's, like, pretty much resigned to the fact that, yeah, he's gonna die. We're all gonna die.
Yeah.
This is not good. And Denethor, this is when he, like, his, like, downhill trajectory starts. And he's, like, not giving any command. And Gandalf is like, well, it, I guess I'm the Lord of Gondor now.
I'm in charge now. Yep.
Okay. Battle stations, everyone. And
Here we go.
yeah. So Gandalf goes off
I'm not happy about this either.
again to fight. And he takes command of everything. The problem is that not everyone is going to listen to Gandalf because he's Gandalf and he has a history with everyone. And most of that history involves him pissing off every single person he's come into contact with.
Mostly by being right, which no one can forgive.
And so they come back and they're like, Denethor, people are leaving and fleeing and retreat and basically abandoning their posts because they're not listening to Gandalf. And Denethor's like, what can you do? Anyway, I'm ready to die now. Let's go.
like the old man in the red sweater. Guess I'll die.
Yeah, exactly. Also Denethor says, why? Why do the fools fly? Maybe it's because Gandalf told them to. Maybe he said, fly, you fools.
Nice callback.
There we go.
Oh.
And so Denethor very matter-of-factly says, I will go now to my pyre. No tomb for Denethor and Faramir, no tomb. No long, slow sleep of death embalmed. We will burn like heathen kings before ever a ship sailed hither from the west. The west has failed. Go back and burn.
Yeah. So basically, like, why are you bothering to run from this? Death is inevitable. You're going to die sooner or later. It might as well be sooner.
Yeah.
I'm going to go and die with dignity. Y'all can do whatever you want.
I just feel like if I had to choose how to die, I would rather be slaughtered by an orc than burned alive.
Yeah.
Like he says,
yeah.
No long, slow sleep of death embalmed. Like, long, slow. No, that being burnt. Does he?
Nope.
Not,
Nope. You're missing a very vital part of Denethor's character here, Mary Clay, which is
he's dramatic?
etched in every scene. He's a dramatic bitch.
Oh, man.
If he's going to die, it's going to be in a literal blaze of glory.
I get it. It's his aesthetic. I get it. Yeah. Oh, and this was when I remembered that because one of the so the next chapter after this is called. Wait, really? Oh, frick. I thought the next chapter.
The chapter after that chapter is the Battle of the Pelennor Fields.
So the next chapter is the Ride of the Rohirrim, which I'm assuming is we'll jump back in time to the Rohirrim on their way to here, which is boring. Can I just skip that chapter, honestly?
There's a good payoff. Trust me on this. There's a good payoff.
Then there's the Battle of Pelennor Field, and then the chapter after that is called the Pyre of Denethor, which given what I before I even read this chapter, I was like, I'm assuming Denethor dies then, because a pyre is when you send a dead body out onto a boat and you set it on fire ceremoniously because they're dead, and you put coins on their eyes.
It's just literally anything that... like, a pyre is literally just, like, any pile of sticks that you burn a corpse on.
So I was like, okay, so I'm assuming that means Denethor dies. So I forgot about that theory until here, when I was like, oh, right. My assumption, my prediction at this point is that Denethor's gonna die soon. So wait.
Oh, yeah. It's all coming together.
Wait.
Oh, yeah. It's all coming together.
Oh, yeah. Hang on. I'm laughing too much. Hang on. Oh, yeah. It's all coming together. Wait. I gotta get right.
That was pretty good.
Right. The poison for Cusco. Cusco's poison. The poison chosen specifically for Cusco. Oh, yeah. It's all coming together.
Well done.
Perfect. Yes. So at this point, he relieves Pippin of his duty and is like, go and be with your friends if you can find them, if they're not already dead here. So you can all die together.
Die in whichever way seems best, yeah.
And Pippin's, like, the only part, which, good job, Pippin. It's not usually a Pippin trait. He's the one who's, like, thinking clearly and thinking logically right now.
Yeah, if Pippin is your voice of reason in any given scenario, you're in trouble.
That's a concern, I'd say.
Yes.
He's like, I think I'll stick with you. In the back of his mind being like, I have to stop him from killing himself and his son. Because he said...
I am half of every one of these people's size, and somehow I have to stop this crazy from happening.
Yeah, and throughout all that, Denethor has basically been like, oh, Faramir, I can't believe he's dead. And then Faramir's on the bed like, I'm not dead yet.
I'm getting better. No, you're not. You'll be stone dead in a moment.
Sometimes I can still hear his voice.
This year, I lost my dear husband, Edgar.
Quit telling everyone I'm dead.
Sometimes I can still hear his voice.
That's such
a... Memeception!
Oh, too good, too good. Yeah, so, I mean, Faramir's not actually like that because he's unconscious. Because he is dying. He very well might die.
But also stop telling people I'm dead.
Yeah, literally.
Because I'm not.
Literally. Denethor's just like, oh, rip. Faramir's still alive. Denethor's still alive, and Denethor's just like, oh, doesn't that suck that we're all dead already? And Pippin's like, no, we're not. I'm gonna save your life.
We are
it's
not.
Fine.
Whether you like it or not.
So Pippin follows them, and they go to the Silent Street.
Yeah, the necropolis of Gondor.
Yeah, and they enter into the House of Stewards and set down their burden. So they lay Faramir down upon...
I love, like, side note, I love that they just take the whole bed. I don't think they take the bed frame, but, like, they definitely just take the whole mattress.
I don't know if it was actually, like, a bed as what we're picturing. I think it might have just been maybe, like, a cot or a stretcher or something. I don't know.
Like, I hope so, because, like, have you ever seen a medieval bed? Like, an actual bed?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're big.
I will say, up until this point, I was picturing him lying in, like, a 4-poster bed with, like, curtains hanging around it or something, as Denethor sat next to him dramatically grieving his dead son who is still alive. And then they were like, and then they picked up the bed and carried Faramir. And I'm like, oh, okay, so I guess it's not, like, a bed.
But portable mattress at best.
Yeah, some kind of portable situation, exactly. So I'm assuming this is like this is like Denethor's family's like mausoleum, sort of.
Yeah, like Gondor, like during its like rise and then decline, like I think it's Gandalf who has this line where he talks about like the decline of Gondor, and like one of the kind of symptoms of that was that like the ancient kings would build these elaborate tombs for themselves, and like counted the names of their ancestors more dearly than the names of their sons. And like that line pops up somewhere, I forget where, but like, so this is Gondor's necropolis of like where all of the kings and stewards are buried in like marble, like these vast marble tombs.
Right, okay. Yeah, so that's where Denethor is at, mentally and physically. And he says to the people who have followed him, bring us wood quick to burn and lay it all about us and beneath and pour oil upon it. And when I bid you, thrust in a torch. Do this and speak no more to me. Farewell. So this is when he's just lost it. He's lost it. And
he's checked out.
Yeah. It just is so crazy to me because like he was so like nonchalant and did not give a about Faramir, and then Faramir being like mortally wounded is what triggers it, and he's like, well,
he just snapped.
Time to die.
Yep, time to self-immolate, so time to super die.
Yeah. And Pippin they're all like, okay, we'll go do that. You hang out in here and just don't touch anything, okay? Just don't do anything rash. You just sit here with your son We'll go off. We'll get that wood. You don't worry about it. Then Pippin turns around and is like, do not do anything. I'm going to go get Gandalf because clearly Denethor's off his rocker. And I'm going to get Gandalf, who's in the middle of a battle right now. So we're not going to worry about that. And I'm going to come back here and fix this. So like, sure, go, like, take some time gathering the wood.
Yeah.
Okay? Stall.
And this is like such a childlike reaction almost, because he's like, Gandalf will know what to do. If anyone will know what to do, it's Gandalf, because like something is wrong here.
Yeah. It feels very much like a Harry reaction of like, Dumbledore will know what to do.
Yes.
Actually, I think that's what
Very
happens
much.
at the end of Sorcerer's Stone. When they find out that like, oh, Snape is gonna steal the stone tonight. They're like, we gotta go tell Dumbledore right now because he'll know what to do. And then surprise, he's not there. But yeah, it's definitely like a
more high
no.
stakes, like, let's tell the headmaster situation.
No. So he runs into Baragond and tells him, Baragond's like, I'm not going to not follow orders. If Denethor says that we have to set him on fire, we have to set him on fire. And Pippin says, well, you must choose between orders and the life of Faramir, said Pippin. And as for orders, I think you have a madman to deal with, not a lord, which is savage. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
Drag him.
Well, because Gondor at this point, it's a militaristic society. It's got some authoritarian elements, and so following orders is what's kept them alive up to this point. And Pippin's an outsider. He doesn't come from that kind of background, and he's like, okay, but how about logic? How about you try logic for like 5 minutes?
So Pippin goes out. And he tells Baragond, he's like, look, make whatever decision you want, but like do your best to keep them alive for as long as possible.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
So he runs off and like turns the corner onto the battlefield. And first of all, I just want to take a moment and be like, Pippin, this is very cute and sweet, because it's a moment where like at the start of the chapter, he's very scared. There's I think when the first like Nazgul comes over and screams, he like cowers and is fearful. And here he is like, I think that I can't. Oh, this is it. Yeah. So Baragond tells him that he's like, oh yeah, Gandalf, he's down in the middle of the battle. And Pippin says, I must find Gandalf at once. Then you must go down to the battle. I know. The Lord has given me leave, Baragond, if you can. Do something to stop any dreadful thing happening. So yeah, I just thought, you must go down to the battle. I know. That's a very brave.
That's Pippin's like character development moment.
Courageous moment for him.
Yes.
Which immediately he turns onto the battlefield and then cowers in fear. Because
and like at the end of the chapter you find out why.
So as he's running out onto the battle, and I was like, oh, wait, I know that the Morgul King is here, too. I was like, wait a minute. Could it be? So the riddle says, not by the hands of man shall the Morgul King fall. Could it be Pippin? I was like, wouldn't that?
I can neither confirm
I didn't actually
deny.
believe, but there was a part of me as he was running onto the field. I was like, oh my God, because a hobbit is not a man. Pippin.
You'll see.
I was like, oh my God, is Pippin gonna kill the Morgul King? And then, I mean, he doesn't.
You'll see.
So,
You'll see.
I just want to clarify that, like, that's not actually my theory.
Here's the thing. That's not what happens, but also you're not 100% off base, and that's all I'm gonna say.
Okay, sounds good. Moving along swiftly. So yeah, he turns the corner and there's Gandalf fighting against the Morgul King. Everyone else has run off. Gandalf is there like, well, I guess this is how I go out.
Well, this is something that I really love, like, about this chapter is, again, like, the style is so different from everything that we've seen so far because, like, he's holding stuff back. He doesn't usually do that. Like, Tolkien doesn't usually hold stuff back from us. But Here, like, the end of this paragraph is, let's see. Then suddenly there was a dreadful cry and a great shock and a deep echoing boom. Forcing himself on against a gust of fear and horror that shook him almost to his knees, Pippin turned a corner, opening onto the wide place behind the city gate. He stopped dead. He had found Gandalf, but he shrank back, cowering into a shadow. And then the next paragraph starts in with how... like, what's been going on outside the gate while Pippin's been running around. So you don't actually see what Pippin's seeing. You just see Pippin's reaction.
Tolkien's being...
You know Gandalf is
being
there.
very dramatic and deliberate about how he's revealing things. So it says, this is so cool. Over the hills of Slain, a hideous shape appeared. A horseman, tall, hooded, cloaked in black. Slowly trampling the fallen, he rode forth, heeding no longer any dart. He halted and held up a long pale sword, and as he did so, a great fear fell on all, defender and foe alike, and the hands of men drooped to their sides, and no bow sang. For a moment, all was still. And this is him, y'all. It's real creepy.
Yeah.
It's real nice and creepy.
Witch King.
Classic Gandalf is just like, hey, stop.
Yes.
He says, you cannot enter here, said Gandalf, and the huge shadow halted. Go back to the abyss prepared for you. Go back. Fall into the nothingness that awaits you and your master. Go. And then this part's real great. The Black Rider flung back his hood, and behold, he had a kingly crown, and yet upon no head visible was it set. Nice and casual, headless horseman. But a floating crown. Beautiful.
He's invisible.
Maybe he's born with it.
He no longer exists.
Maybe it's me.
He no longer exists in the human realm. That's the thing. He can't be seen except in the Wraith realm.
Oh!
You can only see his clothes and his like accoutrement, but his actual physical form is invisible because he's not human.
Fantastic. And then, oh snap, I nearly lost my mind. Oh, side note, hang on, jumping back real quick. There's also a huge battering ram, I should mention. I glossed over that. There's a huge battering ram that they're using to knock against the gate.
To break down the gates.
And they named it, which I just think is funny. It's named Grond.
So there's some backstory here. Do you care about Silmarillion?
Go for it.
Spoilers? It's not a big
Go
one.
for it.
Okay, so you've probably heard at this point that Sauron used to be like the right-hand man of like the like chaos god. Like there's the gods of Middle-earth are called the Valar, and like there's one called Melkor who's like the asshole. And he just breaks everything that everyone else makes. He's why we can't have nice things. And he had this giant hammer that he used to use to just like knock down everything that all the other Valar ever made, and it was called Grond. And Sauron used to be he was kind of the same order of creature that Gandalf actually is. They're kind of like demigods. And he used to work for like the Smith god and then was quote unquote seduced over to Melkor. Were they banging? We don't know. The answer is yes. But like... So they have this whole very interesting dynamic. Melkor was ultimately defeated, but Sauron kind of stuck around because he's a little shit. But he was kind of the brains of the operation anyway, so all of this very efficient, like, battle planning that's going on is all him, because he actually knows what he's doing because he's good with logistics like that. Did you ever watch Kim Possible?
Did I ever watch Kim Possible? Are you about to compare him to Shigo?
Yes, their dynamic is very Dr. Draken and Shigo. Like, you know how Dr. Draken is completely incompetent and just wants to cause chaos, and then Shigo is like, here's how we're going to actually
rolling
do this.
in his grave. That
we've compared. Why are you booing me? I'm right.
That we've compared his, like, the greatest thing he ever did in his life to this animated TV show on Disney Channel.
First of all, Kim Possible was top quality television.
It's a good time.
Second of all, the dynamic is 100% accurate. So yes, that's why they've named the battering ram Grond. I'll also point out, just from like a literary standpoint, like this is where like the writing style for this whole chapter has been very different, but this is where it gets very, very distinct. Like there's a lot of repetition and very, very short sentences. You have 2 paragraphs in a row that begin with "Grond crawled on." Like he's coming for you. And like, and God, the line where the Witch King rides in rode the Lord of the Nazgul, a great black shape against the fires beyond. He loomed up, grown to a vast menace of despair. In rode the Lord of the Nazgul, under the archway that no enemy ever yet had passed, and all fled before his face. Like, the use of, like, the repeating lines is just masterful in this chapter.
Yeah. It's especially, man, these last moments, so good. Yeah, so the Black Rider's there, and Gandalf is there. They're having a nice stare down. Gandalf did not move, and in that very moment, away, behind, in some courtyard of the city, a cock crowed. Shrill and clear he crowed, recking nothing of wizardry or war, welcoming only the morning that in the sky far above the shadows of death was coming with the dawn. And as if in answer, there came from far away another note. Horns, horns, horns. In dark... this is...
Mindolluin.
See, this is what I do, is there's a great, epic, amazing passage, and then I'm like, oh, me, I don't know how to say that word. And in dark Mindolluin. In dark Mindolluin's sides, they dimly echoed. Great horns of the north wildly blowing. Rohan had come at last. Motherfuckers. They're there.
And that's your cliffhanger, my dude.
Bam!
Yes. Such a good chapter, dude.
Yup.
Thank you for bringing me on for that one.
I wrote down, what an entrance! What an entrance.
You know, Gondor isn't the only one that gets to be dramatic sometimes. Rohan gets their moment.
They know how to do it. Yeah.
They know how to make an entrance.
Holy cow, yes. That was a very intense chapter.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to be splitting this into 2 parts. So what you're listening to right now is part 2.
Yeah.
And, which actually is...
Post-pee break.
Actually is great for me, because now I can push back some of my recording was going to be really tight for a second, but I think it'll be fine now.
You're welcome.
It's all fine. Yes.
You're welcome,
yes.
MC.
I planned it this way. What are you talking about? I totally planned for this to be 2 parts. 100%.
Of course you did. No, you planned this a year in advance.
Exactly.
She predicted the plague.
Exactly.
MC has powers beyond our ken.
100%. Was there anything in this chapter that we didn't get to talk about that you, like a random thought or tidbit you wanted to share?
There is one line that I actually did tag very briefly. That it's not a big deal. I just think it's funny. Oh, where is it? Okay, so it's when Pippin gets like kitted out for his Gondor outfit. He gets his costume change, and he looked now, had he known it. Verily, Ernil y Perianath. We all have trouble with it. The prince of the halflings that folk had called him. And here's the thing about Hobbit politics: he kind of is the prince of the halflings. Like, he's the grandson of the old Took, which means that he's then going to be the head of the Took family. And the Tooks are kind of like the closest thing that hobbits have to gentry.
Okay.
Aside from like the brandy bucks. So yeah, he is legitimately kinda sorta the prince of the halflings.
I got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got you.
But I think we covered everything else.
It's a hefty chat. I had zero idea. I mean, no, I planned it this way. No, but like I picked it up yesterday and was like, I wonder how long this is. Then I was like, oh, okay, so it's at least 10 pages. Oh, it's at least 15 pages. Oh,
man, we still going.
Oh crap,
huh?
it's 20 pages. Please don't be much more than 20. I think it was like 22, 21 pages. Yeah, it's a hefty chapter. It's exciting. But yeah, like I said, it was one of the only times so far in reading these books that I have genuinely been like, oh my God, I have to find out what happens. Like, I was
like on the edge of your
seat.
seat.
The chapter was like I was like flipping the I was reading. Usually what I'll do is it'll take me so long to read a chapter because I'll read like 2 pages, write down some notes, and then I'll open TikTok for 30 minutes. And then I'll read like, again.
I have a really similar experience, like, for slightly different reasons, because, like, I'm rereading the series myself, like, very, very slowly, just because, honestly, like, I started rereading it a little after the last time I was on the podcast, because I haven't really read it all the way through since high school, and it's just really beautiful writing, and, like, I've studied Tolkien, but I just haven't revisited the whole series for a while, but, like, just from a craft standpoint, like, his whole, like, his scenery and the way that he, like, focuses on, like, these very, like, melancholy, quiet moments, like, for all that it is, like, very slow, like, and kind of, you know, you kind of want to get to the adventure a little bit, right? But sometimes I'll just, like, read a line about the scenery and, like, how it's unfolding before these characters, and I'll just, like, have to take a moment as a writer and be like, oh, God.
Yeah.
That sounds so pretty.
Yeah. So, like, last night when I was writing down my notes, like, I couldn't remember the word mausoleum. I was, like, Google searching for, I'm like, the like house in a graveyard, it's not a tomb. And then I had to text my friends and be like, okay, what's the word for it's not a coffin, it's not a grave, it's not a tomb, like, and then there's like Tolkien, who's crafted like not just the English language but also made up languages. It's quite impressive.
Conlangs.
Yeah. So,
but yeah, like this whole series is just a lot to digest. So
that's
like
an
you going through it, like,
understatement.
yeah, like I think you going through it like one chapter at a time is honestly kind of a smart way to do it. Because otherwise, it really is easy to like start glossing over stuff and then you miss details.
Yeah. I also think that's why it's also. I was thinking about it the other day, and I was like, wow, I'm kind of getting to a point now where there are a couple times where like my guests will be like, oh, didn't like Pippin do this once? And I'll be like, no, that was actually Merry. It was in this chapter. But and I'm like, oh my God, have I actually
You're turning into
me
the
expert in the room? I'm far from an expert, by the way. That's a huge disclaimer. I'm not claiming I'm an expert at all. But
no, there are scholars of Tolkien's work. Like that's a thing. That's an area of study.
Me.
Yeah, they terrify me. I've studied Tolkien in a scholarly context, and Tolkien scholars are scary to me.
I'm so terrified. I have not ever reached out to a Tolkien scholar or like, because there are some other like Lord of the Rings Tolkien podcasts out there that are very like scholarly and serious. And I'm like, I can't imagine how it would go over if I messaged them and was like, hey, I have a comedy podcast. I'm a dumb white girl and I'm reading Lord of the Rings for the first time. I didn't think the first movie was all that good. You want to come on and talk about how Boromir has daddy issues? You know?
Okay, but here's the thing, Boromir has daddy issues.
Yeah.
No, I think you have a good balance here.
Haley, where can people find you on the internet?
Don't come looking for me on the internet. If you want to hear more of my dulcet tones, you can check out, and if you like this chick here, you can check us out on the Restricted Section podcast, which is most places you can get podcasts, probably. I don't know anything about podcasts,
I think it is,
but it's a Harry Potter one.
It's on Spotify.
Yeah, it's a Harry Potter podcast.
For adults, we shall say. It's explicit.
Yes. Very much.
I'll leave it there.
Yeah, and it's just us and our dumb friends screaming about Harry Potter, like you do.
We're all just big Harry Potter fans who are now grown-ups.
Yep, and we scream about, you know, what Dumbledore does in bed.
Yeah, and like how
so if you
how did Hagrid get to the shack on the rock?
Don't f***ing start that conversation again. That was a 3-episode fight, and we're still not done with it.
Oh man, did he fly? We don't know. Did Dumbledore?
It was a portkey. I maintain portkey.
Was it a thestral? I don't think thestrals can hold him
I will
up.
die
Who
on the
knows?
hill of the portkey.
So cool.
Anyway, so the restricted section. It's a lot of fun.
That's What I'm Talking About is a proud member of WB&E. You can learn more about that by going to wbne.org, or you should just go straight to listening to Sincerely Us, which is our Broadway podcast hosted by Eni and Becca. And it's also a great time to start listening if you've never listened before, because we all got notice, of course, that Hamilton is going to be dropping on Disney Plus in a few short weeks. Months. I don't know what day it is. You should just start getting excited and building up the hype and do that with Becca and Eni by listening to Sincerely Us.
Dear listener, today's gonna be a good day, and here's why.
Because today we're headed to Broadway.
Are we?
Okay, maybe not, but we're talking about Broadway. I'm Becca.
And I'm Eni, and we host Sincerely Us, a podcast for the casual musical theater fan. We discuss everything from strong female characters
To Ben Platt.
to individual shows
To Ben Platt.
to Act 1 finales and everything in between.
We even have a few experts on to talk about their expertise in the realm of musical theater.
It's an easygoing show for every theater fan. No experience required.
Listen every Wednesday at wbne.org or wherever you get podcasts.
It's not a Disney fan cast, I promise.
The cover art is by Graphite, aka Vaishon Brainin. You can support him on Instagram at graphite.vmb. You can find the podcast on Twitter and Instagram at TolkienAboutPod. And you can also join the Facebook group, which will be linked in the description. And we share lots of fun memes there. It's a good time. Also, please go like. This is I think one of the only times I've given you explicit directions. Go to the Instagram at TolkienAboutPod and like the post that has all of the Lucille Bluth quotes as Denethor, because I spent too long doing that and it did not get nearly the amount of likes that it should have. And I am furious about this. So go like it and share it and tell other people to like it, because I put too much energy and time into it. And also, they all fit too perfectly. Denethor is Lucille Bluth.
If you're saying I play favorites, you're wrong. I love all my children equally. I don't care for
Faramir. Okay. You can find me on Twitter at MCWhatsUp and Instagram at MCTurnedDownForWhat. You can join the Patreon and become a patron. Like Matt. Matt Barger is this week's episode sponsor. You can become an episode sponsor by going to patreon.com/TolkienAboutPod. Thank you, Matt, for your support. And I hope you're doing okay. You can also support the podcast. There's a new way that you can support the podcast. Go to wbne.org and click on the link in the top right corner to get a super shout out. And what this is a one-time payment, and you put in a message for me to say. And that's it. It's very simple. We have plans for individuals as well as I sounded Midwestern, as well as small businesses. So let's say that you want to tell the listeners of That's What I'm Talking About that Stardew Valley is better than Animal Crossing, which I would agree with. You can do that by getting a super shout out. Let's say you're a small business owner who sells board games. You sell vintage board games, and now is the perfect time to sell board games, and you want to get the word out. You can do that with a super shout out. So go to wbne.org to get yours today. And then here, I think, should be past Mary Clay with the discussion question stuff. Maybe. Look, okay. My brain is so confused. My brain was confused already before I decided to split this episode. So, just God have mercy on my soul. Okay. A couple weeks ago, the discussion question was, what has a character done that made you mad? So a character that you otherwise trusted and believed to be a quote-unquote good guy. Aragorn! Telling Eowyn she can't come with him. When was an experience that you had similar feelings? Charlie on Facebook says Zuko at the end of season 2 when he betrays everyone and he betrays Iroh. Oh, oof, that one's harsh.
That was hard to forgive.
Yeah. So this one,
like, he earned it back.
Yeah, this one confuses me because I'm not sure what you're referring to. Claire said Steve Rogers in Endgame. Do you?
Oh.
What did he do in Endgame that would warrant people being mad?
Steve Rogers, oh god, it's been so long. He went back in time to, I think, return one of the things that they stole in the time heist, and then he just stayed there with Peggy and got old instead of coming back to his friends.
But
well, yeah, because he left his f***ing friends, and now, like, Bucky is just alone.
He's 100
so,
years old. I think he deserves a chance
and
for
he's
love.
Alone. It just seems like a backtrack on his character development. That's all I'm saying.
I get. Okay.
No, I think this person's right. They have a point.
That's the thing. I was just confused about that. I was like, what did he do? I hold Captain America up in a high regard because I hold Peggy Carter up in a high regard. So
I hold Peggy Carter up in high regard too, but like she moved on with her life.
Look, I don't know if I've shared this on the podcast before, but I think the song that they dance to that closes out Endgame, I believe is the same song in Winter Soldier when Steve comes home and, oh God, what's his face? Fury is sitting there and he's playing the record, and that, I believe it's the same song, which to me says so much about this one song, because I'm assuming that Nick Fury didn't like go through his collection and pick out something random to put on just to have noise. I'm assuming it was like the record that was just sitting on the record player, and he put the needle on it and turned the knob on and it just started playing, which says to me that Steve listened to that song multiple times and it was one of his favorites. And then when he goes and meets up with Peggy again, he's like, I can finally fulfill this vision, this dream, my heart's desire of like dancing with you to this song. And that's my...
Yeah, but he didn't have to stay for the rest of his life.
Man. Anyway.
He could have hit it and quit it. That's all I'm saying.
When I was writing down the answers, I realized that I had 2 C names in a row. I had Charlie and then Claire. And then I was like, oh, I'll do the Carlins. Tyler Carlin replied with Anakin killing those kids. And I'm like, I haven't seen Star Wars, so I don't know what you're referring to. But I'm sure most other people
No, that's
do.
a dark moment.
I'm sure most other people do.
No, he's right.
And then also speaking of things that I don't know, Jonathan Carlin replied with a gif of someone from Game of Thrones who I think is Khaleesi. Is Khaleesi the one with the white hair?
Season 8, yes, okay, that's Khaleesi.
Sure. I mean, that's not a good descriptor. I feel like there are many characters in that show that have
she's the one. No, there's 2 characters in that show that have white hair, and one of them is her brother, and he dies in season 1.
Okay, great. I was like, all right, those are 2 characters that apparently did something bad that I do not know.
Yeah, no, the last season hurt us all.
Okay. And then I just thought it was funny. There were 2 people on Instagram who replied and were like, Gandalf. Just because he just leaves and he's so flaky. And I'm like, oh, you are preaching to the choir here.
You can't fully trust or rely on wizards, and if you do, that's on you for thinking that they're going to solve your problems. Wizards don't solve problems, people. They cause problems, and then get you wrapped up in them, and you should know that going in.
Right. So this week's discussion question is, what's a good dramatic entrance that you've appreciated? This is being based off of Rohan's entrance just in the nick of time. So tell me about another famed dramatic entrance that you have appreciated in fiction.
That's a good one.
I'm assuming that a lot of them are going to be, Endgame, the portals on your left. Haley, I'm gonna have to send you a video. Maybe there's someone who, you know, those rubber chickens.
Yes.
Someone used it.
The ones that sound like the screams of the damned.
Someone used it and like squeaked it so that it like synced up with the music of that scene, and the chickens just like scream. It's too good.
Oh my god.
I should also say, I believe it was you who shared the Hobbit milk video originally.
That was me.
And I just...
I claim responsibility.
Thank you. Thank you.
Where's the milk, Jacob?
They can smell the milk, Jacob.
They can smell the milk, Jacob.
Milk, Jacob. They can smell hobbit milk from a mile away. That's their main power.
Oh, God.
Nothing in the past, 5 years has made me laugh that hard. Oh my god, guys, check out Hobbit Milk. I promise you it is the first reaction you will get on YouTube. If you haven't seen it yet, it's the funniest.
God. So thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for bringing that into my life.
You're very
There's
welcome.
probably, I would say a couple times a week, it'll just pop into my head, just a voice in the distance. They can smell the milk, Jacob.
Every time I make cereal. Every race got different milks, Jacob.
All right, Haley, do you have any parting words for the audience?
Oh, no parting words. Everybody just stay safe out there. Just stay in, read Tolkien. There's never been a better time.
And that's what I'm talking about. You can do that by going to patreon.com/talkingaboutpod. It's also just now occurring to me, after I have been recording these announcements, that I had not selected my Yeti microphone, and this is coming through my computer microphone. Okay, well, thanks for listening to me losing my mind. If you want to hear more, come back next week.